Hello, everyone. Welcome to Rodale Institute's webinar series. I'm Gladis Zinati, and I'm the Director of Vegetable Systems Trial and soil scientist. To give you a little bit of background about myself, I am soil scientist by training, and I have been at Rodale Institute for the past 7 years. I have been working on management practices that impact soil health and the nutrient quality in vegetables, as well as management practices that affect and improve soil health for grain production. Recently, I have been working on management practices in addition to tillage, compost formulations, and compost extracts that really impact the weed management as well as the production and looking into how compost extracts really impact the pest management. Today, I'm gonna give you updates on the vegetable systems trial. And before I start my presentation, I would be giving you some housekeeping points. First, you can hear me, but I cannot hear you. And if I'm not audible, please click your audio settings on your screen. And if you have any question regarding any problem, please call Maria Pop at 610-683-1481. At the end of the presentation, which may take about 40 to 45 minutes, I will have a QA session. To send me your questions, please use the QA button on your screen and send me your questions. And this presentation is recorded and it will be posted on our website, Rodale Institute website, in a week from now. And to better focus on the presentation, I'm gonna turn off my camera at the moment and get back to you during the session. I would like to acknowledge our funders, Wingcoat Foundation, the Orange County Community Foundation, the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, the Pennsylvania Vegetable Growers Association, and Johnny's Seeds. The outline for this presentation includes giving you a background about VST, management practices, treatments and crops, crop rotation, giving you a snapshot of some of the results we have, and information about the satellite experiments that I have been working on in conjunction with VST. Not necessarily to go in series like that, but these are the points that I will be working on and talking about it. The dissemination of our results and how we use this system to distribute and share our results through educational programs, and what we have in the future for research work for years to come. So for those who do not know what is VST or Vegetable Systems Trial, it is a long-term side-by-side comparison of organic and conventional vegetable cropping systems. The main objectives are assess the impact of production management practices on soil, plant, and human health. And the second main objective is to provide vegetable growers ultimately with viable and economic options that can take them to a long-term vegetable production sustainability and productivity based on scientific information. The overarching goals is that we can link the soil health to plant health and nutrient quality as well to human health. At the same time, looking how we can link the soil health to the ecosystem services and the environmental health that leads to human health. So we have to always think in this circle where how the soil really matters and how it really impacts human health, not only through the crops that we eat, but also through the environment that really impacts our human health. So when we talk about soil health, what does it mean? And healthy soil. Healthy soil means that is a soil that can regulate the water flow, can filter the pollutants, can keep the nutrients in a cycle and cycle again within a closed system We don't have erosion or water sheets that carries all the nutrients outside the land. Also, a healthy soil that supports a diversity of plants and animals in the soil, as well as really important for food security and productivity. The unhealthy soil or polluted soil is the soil that can really impact your ecosystem as well as the people. And in that case, it really affects main areas of the nervous system, the digestive system, immune system. We would have a lot of diseases such as cancer, lung diseases, birth defects, kidney diseases, you name it. Just to give you some facts here about how human health and plant health are related. This is a chart that shows that about pesticides in agriculture, taking from 1960 to 2009. These are the different colors of graphs that you will see here from pesticides, fungicides, or herbicides. But if I look here at the green graph that you have here, which represents herbicides in this case, if you look in 1960, the amount of use, it was about 30 million pounds of pesticides. And then here in 2009, this increased by tenfold. It's becoming now 300 million pounds. This tells us there is a lot of use of pesticides on land, and especially in agriculture. How really that matters, it shows that one of the experiments for glyphosate, this is published in Journal of American Medical Association, showing people exposure to glyphosate, there was an increase by 38-fold between 1995 and 2015. So if the exposure before, and that's based on urine analysis, they had before 0.02 parts per billion, and now we are getting into 0.77 parts per billion. This also how the pesticides affect our human health, looking here from a data from Pesticide Action Network, shows analysis between 1975 to 2011, how the children between the ages between 0 to 19 or 6 to 11 have increased in obesity and diabetes and childhood cancers. The attention deficit, ADHD, and developmental disabilities have increased. Autism has increased 78%. Just to note here that this increase of 78%, not necessarily due to exposure of pesticides, but before 2002, probably it hasn't been very well known, the conditions of autism. And then with time, this publication showed that we have an increase of 78%, just to let you know. Also, how the changes is affecting the nutrient quality in the fruits and vegetables, and how that really affects our health. There is a study published by Davis 2009 showing that when they took fruits and vegetables and they assessed nutrient status in these tests in 1950, and they took again the same fruits and vegetables and they assessed them in 1999. And this is on the y-axis here is the ratio, meaning when you take the new assessment over the old and gives you a line, which is 1. And on the x-axis, all these minerals, vitamins, and proteins, and carbohydrates, and fat. It shows that here, anything below the 1 line, it is declining, and anything at or above, it is increasing. For example, the protein, the calcium, phosphorus, iron have been declining, as well as riboflavin and vitamin C. So the other ones, the thiamine and niacin, have been added probably or worked on in the fruits and vegetables that have been increasing. To give you more detailed information, what do we mean by nutrient decline? So let's take broccoli in this case. Broccoli is showing that in 1950, the amounts of calcium was 12.9 milligram per gram. Over the years, between 2003 and 2009, that value became 4.4 milligram per gram, meaning now if we want to eat the same nutrient quality, nutrient amount that has been in 1950, we have to eat 3 times that amount of broccoli to get to the nutrient quality we have in 1950. So there is a decline in the quality of the nutrients in the vegetables and in the fruits. What to blame this nutrient decline? Few things is due to the degradation of soil health, due to improper management practices. What do we mean by that? It could be the intensive tillage and the intensive use of the land year after year without the additions of residues or compost or amending soil with long-term amendments. Cutting the mycelia of the good fungi there that really connects all the soil particles and glue the soil particles are really dismantled. So this is really affecting not only the soil as far as reducing the organic matter, because every time you till, you are releasing the carbon to the atmosphere as carbon dioxide, but also affecting the soil itself becoming more fragile. You will have erosion if you are on a slope. With rain events that are really high, you will see that nutrients on the surface, it will be going with the water and having erosion outside your land and affecting the water system. So we are getting reduced mineral concentration, even reduced microbial diversity to help uptake of the nutrients into the plants. The other reason for the reduction of crop nutrient value is due to breeding programs that have been going on in those years to increase, because their focus was increasing the yield and the size rather than the nutrient quality. So these are the culprits of what is happening for a nutrient decline. So when we think about soil health, how is related to plant health and the human health, we want always to look how and whether the organic vegetables would be really higher in nutrient content when compared to conventional systems, vegetables produced in conventional system. We are also looking, and we will start looking how the pesticide residues would be impacted the soil or the fruit itself or the vegetables. So now we are collaborating with the Health Research Institute that is well known about assessments of pesticides, herbicides, pesticide residues in fruits, water, and in soils. And that's an area we will start working together with this institute. The other thing we would like to know whether the different vitamins and antioxidants may vary within those systems using our vegetables. However, there are some very few publications showing that in the organic systems, you will see a higher amount of vitamin C and also protein. But in the conventional system, you will find more nitrate concentrations, which is normal to see because the conventional system use a readily available fertilizer. It's a mobile fertilizer, and nitrate is taken up by the plant pretty quickly, or it can be also going away from your land. That's another issue. But the organic system uses a slow release fertilizer, and also it uses the cover crops that it also released with time. So for those who do not know where is Rodale Institute and the Vegetable Systems Trial, it is in United States, in Pennsylvania, Kutztown. And the Vegetable Systems Trial is over here. So here is the Vegetable Systems Trial. It is initiated in 2016 on an area of 2.62 acres, including the buffers, and the soil texture is silty loam. The experimental design been put to be randomized complete block design. So you will see 4 blocks, and each block is separated by a buffer of 35 feet on those blocks, as well as in the same block, we have buffers about 35 feet between any organic or conventional system. In each system, let's say the organic is labeled by green and the conventional is labeled by red. In each system, we are getting reduced till, and we have also tilled covered with black plastic. In each of these systems, we are looking into how we can improve soil health and using reduced tillage system, but getting away from using black plastic. What a grower would be able to do with time if there is a chance to reduce the black plastic use, because not only we till the soil several times, but also because black plastic is considered as a pollution. It's an environmental pollution. And if you remember the first chart I showed, that how soil health is really impacting the the environment. So part of the soil health, when it is tilled too many times, you have to cover it to keep that soil. Although black plastic have shown to be really helpful for weed management and helpful for heating or warming the soil early for crops, but it still have its environmental pollution, especially in the organic system, since we cannot use any degradable material. So in the past few years, between 2015 and 2017, I worked with my colleagues and I conducted this experiment on cucumber in organic system. And we used the system of reduced tillage by using the roller crimper mounted on the front of the computer, on the tractor, sorry. And then we rolled the cover crop, and then we compared it to the black plastic, which is the common standard method the grower use, that they till the soil and then they put the plastic and grow the cucumber. Although some of the results showed that the production yield was higher in the black plastic. However, the premium yield in the mulch was much better. But one thing that I would like you to take from here is that when we looked into the polyphenols, one of series of the antioxidants that we are interested in the cucumber leaves. This is on the x-axis showing you the polyphenol, and this is the amounts of the polyphenol. Here we have the blue bar is representing the polyphenol in the plastic, and the orange one in the rolled crimped. And you could see there is a much higher, significantly higher amount of the polyphenol, in this case, pea cumaric, in the rolled crimped cucumber leaves. For those who do not know what is the use of the pea cumaric, it is an antioxidant, antimicrobial. When you eat in your diet any plants that have a pea cumaric, it really modifies the gut microbiota and really helps to suppress or affect the bad microbiota in your stomach. So it is really important polyphenol. Another study that I conducted as well, and I did this time on organic soil for organic winter squash, and I was looking into the variation in the nutrient quality about the winter squash when it is stored, when has been grown into tilled versus no till. And in this case, I compared the high input technology using the 10-foot roller crimper mounted on the tractor, and compared to the 2-foot roller crimper mounted on a small BCS that it is one person driven, and the standard method where the grower will come and plow the land, prepare the beds, and then put the plants as again plant, and cultivate it during the season several times before the plant finds out. So here in this um, data I'm showing you here, I would like you to focus on the red square here, and I stored the plants, the fruits of winter squash for 0 day, 30 day, and 60 day. And I assessed with at Lavanya Redivari at Purdue University at her lab, and we looked at alpha carotene lutein. And it shows here very well that the quality of alpha carotene and lutein, which are these carotenoids, are higher even after 60 days than the grower standard method, and even doubled, as well as phosphorus and calcium were much higher when we use the reduced system, either the BCS or the roll current. This information is already published on our website. If you go to our website, and you can take this link. If not, you could also just put search for stored winter squash reduced till, and it will come up. So coming back to vegetable systems trial, in the organic and in the conventional, we use main vegetables, potato, followed by winter squash, followed by green beans. In the black plastic, we use potato, followed by winter squash, followed by lettuce, and then we use a third crop is sweet corn. We do the same thing in both systems, so we can have comparison. In the system, in the organic, we use cover crops, hairy veg, and dry. We tap into hairy veg because we want to see how much nitrogen we can get freely from the atmosphere, because hairy veg is a legume, and how much we can reduce the use of the fertilizer. We also use compost only for the potato in this case, and we use the reduced till as equipment roller crimper for the cover crop, and in the black plastic we use the moldboard, and we use organic fertilizers and organic managements. In the conventional, we use only rye to mimic the grower, and the same system of reduced tillage and black plastic. We also use synthetic fertilizers, mainly potassium chloride and urea, and conventional herbicides and insecticides. So when we are looking for linking soil health to plant health and human health, what do we mean by that, and what parameters do we measure? We look at physical properties of the soil, the chemical properties, biological properties, and pesticide residue. So mainly in the physical, we look aggregate stability, bulk density, infiltration rate, and compaction also. The chemical properties, we go over the organic matter. We look for total carbon and nitrogen. We determine those at several labs. We do the minerals, all kinds of minerals, the macro and micro. We do also the labile carbon and the protein, and I'm labeling here in red because these are the ones that I'm gonna talk about in the results. We also assess microbial biomass and the diversity of the community, the enzymes and pesticide residue. As I said, this is a new initiative that we are working with the Health Research Institute now. In the plant health, every time we grow a crop, we look at yield, but not only that, we look at storability, we look at the nutrient quality in all these management practices, mainly minerals, total proteins, amino acid, vitamins, phytochemicals, you name it. We also look at all types of insects and diseases, and we record all the systems that really help in weed resistance, as well as pesticide residue. So taking these two into consideration, soil health and plant health, the ultimate goal is that how we can relate the soil health index to the nutrient density index that really helps us understand how really is important for human health. In the future or in the meantime and with the future coming, we are working with a faculty from Faculty of Medicine at Penn State University. And we want to work on projects as well as with other entities, how our systems and the production that we get all these vegetables under the different systems I talked about before, how will really alleviate the human diseases, and would it really reduce or increase the diseases that through sometimes of benchtop experiments or using different systems. These methods we want to investigate and explore in the years to come. As I said, also it is important to know how the systems, either conventional or organic, to really impact the reduction of pesticide spraying, as well as on the exposure of people when they either consume crops that has, let's say, have been produced conventionally, has been exposed to pesticides, or those crops that have not been exposed to pesticides. Also, we want to see how those all the systems are really impacting human health, not only for the adults, but also the children at all ages. So let's start now and talk quickly about the systems, what we do. We come here in the fall, every season, we put our cover crops. And in the spring, we have the cover crops coming up. We do some soil chemical and biological assessments. In this one, we take a cover crop biomass to learn how much cover crop is there, mainly to look how much nutrients is going to be there, or how much amount is going to be there when we do reduced till roll crimping. We do also bulk density for the soil to look for physical properties. This is the probe. And we take it from 0 to 10 to 20. And then also we do water infiltration to see how much there is water going through the soil. We add a certain amount of water. We take how many minutes it takes or seconds to drain through the soil. As well, we do some compaction using penetrometer and take soil samples for soil measurements for chemical and biological assessments. Only for potato, we apply compost as a system for using available nutrients for the potato to grow as is needed. And we use the Lehigh potato variety. And in the system for potato, for organic and conventional, we use a side-by-side moldboard plow for the plastic system, and we use chisel plow for the reduced tillage. Just to show you here how soil is flipped upside down when we use the moldboard versus the one here that it's not as harsh when we use the chisel plow. You can still see all the plants still connected there. This is the moldboard plow we use. This is the chisel plow we use for the reduced till. So once we have the plastic and the plants for potato ready, the other plots that are still growing for cover crops, we'll use them for the squash and for the beans and sweet corn. So the potato is growing here. At the end of the season, we harvest and we look and we grade them for size and yield, as well as for culls, that how much each system is giving us culls as well as marketable yield. For winter squash, we keep the cover crop growing for reduced till, and we use the moldboard to flip the soil and use it as a green manure. And this is the roller crimper when we roll to make a good mat for the soil. In the conventional system, same, we do reduced tillage. We spray first with glyphosate, and the ones for the black plastic, we flip the soil and have the black plastic on it. So this is how it looks like when you have the herbicide applied to it using the glyphosate. For squash and green beans, we do the same thing. We roll crimp in the reduced till. We use organic seeds, Waltham butternut squash, if we are using organic system. And if it is treated the same variety in the conventional. Here is the monosome planter. We use the monosome to seed the squash as well as the winter squash and the beans. Of course, we use the roller crimper at the front and the monosome in the back. We use the provider as one of the varieties. Here's showing you the beans with the rolled crimped um, residue, rolled crimped from the season. For sweet corn, we have only grown sweet corn on black plastic, 2 rows on a bed, 3 beds on a plot. In both the conventional and the organic, the difference is that we apply herbicides between the beds in the conventional, and we use the hoeing in the organic. This is the organic corn at the end of the season, and this is the conventional corn at the end of the season. Of course, we have challenges, especially during the 2019. I'm showing you here the beds that have been showing a lot of water there standing because we had frequent rain events and where like the soil is not even ready to drip through the soil. But those told us this thing that there is compaction. Definitely this land, this sweet corn plots, it has been in production 3 times um, with the black plastic, and that's evident that we have compaction because in the reduced till that water didn't show at all because the water went through the soil perfectly. Let's get to some of the results, and due to the limited time we have, I'm choosing few things that really make sense to show about soil. Results from 2016 and 2019 after 3 growing seasons. So we took soil samples in 2016 before the project started, and again in 2019. And I'm gonna talk to you about the soil labile carbon and soil protein. Just soil labile carbon is POXY, and POXY means it's a permanganate oxidizable carbon. It is a fraction of the soil organic matter. We always talk about soil organic matter pool, but this is a small fraction. But this is really important to know because the buildup of the labile carbon, it is an indicator of the long-term stabilization of the organic matter in your soil. Literature has shown that a range between 600 and 800 milligram. And it has been shown also that the labile carbon, the POXY, is a sensitive and a quick sensitive indicator for soil organic matter that is mostly affected by tillage. So here I have a graph for you from soils that were taken in 2016. It is indicated in the brown bars. So in the conventional CNV, you have black plastic and reduced tillage. These are the POXY, which is the labile carbon, and they are not different because just to bring to your attention, vegetable systems trial, when we started it, it started on 20 plus years of organic management, meaning the soil has been always managed organically, unlike the farming systems trial that was, when it started, it was the soil managed conventionally, and then they started the farming systems trial. So in this case, we are not gonna see any impact in 2016 from any system because it was just after 20 years plus of organic management. So In the brown bar, you will see them all together, the same conventional and organic. However, after 3 seasons of growing, we came back in 2019 and took soil samples in every replicate in every treatment in black plastic. And what you see here in the green bars that we have seen an increase, a significant increase in the in the labile organic matter, especially in black plastic and reduced tillage here in the organic system, and more than when it has been shown in the conventional system. That increase could be because of the cover crops that we have been putting there and the amendments in both of these systems, but also to the management practices that we have been using. With time, after 5, 7, 10 years, this picture may not be the same, and mostly it will change because the variation will be showing more after few 5 or 10 years. Looking at the soil protein is a rapid soil health indicator as well for potentially available organic nitrogen that the plant really requires and really helps to have. This is again the 2016 soil samples taken. As you see, the green bars are the same. In 2019, the protein in the blue bars have increased tremendously in the reduced till and the black plastic. That's tapping into the management practices and the cover crops that have either hairy veg or the amendments of compost. This tells you that the nitrogen, the organic nitrogen, the protein is really available there for the plant and for the crop to be important, because the protein also and the nitrogen cycling of the nitrogen is going to be impacted by the practices as well as the microbial enzyme activity. So we expect to have more of better nutrients that is related to nitrogen in the plants. In the conventional, it was evident that we didn't build more protein because, as I said, we use conventional more labile fertilizer, which in this case urea, and urea is easily to disappear and it will not stay in the soil as a budget of nitrogen for your crop. Just a few slides here about the satellite experiments. I will be talking about the nutrient concentration in colored flash potato varieties. This project started and we have been looking into different colors of flash potato, and now we are including it into the vegetable systems trial. And I'm gonna talk about the vitamin C, B6, and anthocyanin. So 3 of those varieties is the Purple Majesty that has a purple flesh, the Mountain Rose that has a pink and skin in rose color, and the Open Gold, it has the inside the flesh is yellow. So we have the chisel plow, we prepared the land, we planted, and in this case, we compared the potato with insectary or without insectary on organic soil. This is the insectary here. The purpose of it is that how we can bring beneficial insects such as the soldier beetle. This is a stink bug, a soldier stink bug. This is important. This is in a predator that predates on the Colorado potato beetle nymph. And so the idea is that how we can improve the population of the predators that can feed on the pests. And that's how we started this experiment. And then we looked at the nutrients. Just to give you the slide, what is the flowering insectary strip is about. It has sunflower, which is here, didn't flower yet. You have dill, buckwheat, which is the white one here. We have lemon balm, fava bean. We have alyssum, holly basil. We have also alfalfa. You could see the alfalfa in flowering. We use the alfalfa as a baseland cover to bring um, uh, the ground beetles, which are important also for as a shelter, using alfalfa as a shelter. So when we looked at vitamin C and what is the purpose of vitamin C here, it's an antioxidant. It helps plants against stresses such as drought, UV radiation, and ozone. What it's really important for human health, it really helps in formation of collagen. It really helps in healing the wounds. Immune system, it boosts the immune system and the absorption of iron. And so our results showed here, this is the y-axis, the different varieties, Yolk Gold in yellow, Purple Majesty in purple, and Mountain Rose in pink. And the mean concentration of vitamin C showed that it was highest in the Yolk Gold compared to the Purple Majesty, but was similar to the Mountain Rose. So it's statistically significant. Similarly, when we looked at B6, which is also another plant water soluble, this vitamin itself cannot be synthesized in your body, or your body cannot do it, but you have to take it through your diet. So the purpose for it for a human health, it regulates the mood, it is important for brain function, and prevents Alzheimer's disease. Again, our vitamin B6 in potato varieties showed that it is pretty high in Yolk Gold and lower in Purple Majesty, and as equal in Mountain Rose significantly. But when we looked at anthocyanin, and what is anthocyanin is another plant water soluble pigment. You will see it either red or blue or purple, meaning that some of blueberries or eggplants or strawberries or raspberries, they have those, or even cabbage sometimes. For the plant, it is very important, this antioxidant anthocyanin, because the plant uses it against extreme temperatures. For human health, anthocyanin reduces the cardiovascular diseases and proved to reduce cancer. In this case, we found that Purple Majesty was the highest in anthocyanin and statistically higher than Mountain Rose, as Yolk Gold really didn't have much of anthocyanin, but on the contrary, it had more of vitamin C and B6. And this tells us that when we think of eating and recommending diets, it's always important that you include in your diet a variety of potatoes, not only the yellow potato or the white potato, but also the ones that the red potato or Purple Majesty, because they have all those kinds of antioxidants and antimicrobial characteristics. As I said, this project prompted us to conduct a multi-year project in VST, and now we are looking into the impact of management practices in the organic system as well in the conventional system. As I said, we do a lot of monitoring on pests and weeds, and this is showing that we are monitoring the beneficial insects and pests using sticky cards as well. We count the insects, let's say the Colorado potato beetle or the leaf hoppers on the plants themselves. As part of our education, we have interns coming and learn along the scientists or the technicians how to collect data, how to enter data and analyze it, and also to present their data that they are collecting, so they have idea how the management practices meaning or affecting their the production as well, to give them insight how the world is really going with the production. In other words, having a hands-on experience. Other ways of educating is that we disseminate our results through publications, either peer-reviewed publication or articles, or educational publications or handouts. We do field days every year. This year is going to be on July 17. It is always on the third Friday in July. So mark your calendar from today. We will have a field day on July 17, and you will come and see not only VST, but all other projects and all other work we have been doing here at Rodale Institute. We also share our results through webinars like today. We do presentations and workshops at regional and national conferences. Recently, we have taken deep soil course as we did in 2016, and every 3 years we are going to do the same. We just finished taking the soil course, and we are going to section them at 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 100. When we take soil cores, we section them because in each section we are looking at different parameters that we want to assess. Mainly the physical properties, as I said, aggregate stability and bulk density. The chemical properties, I will be looking at organic matter, carbon, nitrogen, all minerals, label nitrogen and protein. As well as in the biological properties, I would be doing the assessment with colleagues from Strauss Research Center. They are gonna work on the microbial community diversity and enzymes with other colleagues from other states, and with our collaboration with the Health Research Institute would be doing the pesticide residue. So what is in the bank for the coming 5-10 years? I will continue working on assessing soil health, plant health in these vegetable systems, conducting some satellite experiments to verify a few of the ideas that will link soil health to plant health to human health, and looking to how the soil health affects the ecosystem and the human health, looking at all these analyses in the fruits and antioxidants and proteins. Also, I'm gonna start looking into ergothioneine. Previously, we have talked about ergothioneine is amino acid that has been found that it is structured by fungi in the soil, actinobacteria or cyanobacteria in the soil, that really brings the amino acid into the plant itself. And with that, the presentation, I would like to thank you for being today attending, and this is my contact information, my email, my phone number, my address. This is the website where you can find other webinars I want to bring to your attention. In December, I will have 2 other webinars. One of them is on allium leaf miner in pests in onion, and that would be on December 11th, same time. And the other one on December 17th, between 11:30 and 12:30 Eastern time. And that's about solutions for striped cucumber beetle. This is in conjunction with the IPM Institute of North America Organic and IPM Working Group. And with that, I would like to take any questions you may have, and I'm going now to look for the questions in the question answer. And I do have one here from the anonymous attendee. It says, what is the purpose of using black plastic? Is it only to help keep the soil warm or prevent erosion? Well, the use of black plastic, originally the growers using it is to warm the soil, especially when you are in areas like Pennsylvania, that the winter keeps lingering all the time until May sometimes. And also because you want to catch the time of planting with the window that really helps, like onion sometimes, or the potato to be early. The other reason is that not to prevent erosion at all. It is to help weed management. That's how it started. And but we found that to prepare the bed is that it requires several times of tilling, and so it really keeps the soil together. Of course, if you do a lot of tilling without having black plastic, and if your soil is on a slope more than 1%, you will see some of that erosion, especially if you use the moldboard equipment. Card Duplot, thank you for the great presentation. You are very welcome. I'm happy to see that you have seen this is a good presentation and you get some knowledge out of it. Another question I have, how would the organic method help with the current changes in weather patterns and temperatures? Very good question here. The organic method, especially when you are using reduced tillage, you are helping and amending and recycling the, let's say, the compost, whatever waste you have, you are not going to burn it. So you are not going to have that carbon back into the, or the methane going back to your atmosphere. What you are doing, you are using it to compost that waste that you collect from your farm. So what happens is that that compost can go back into your soil. Let's say you are not using the compost, but you are using reduced tillage management. What happens is that the less you integrate severe or harsh methods of tilling, you are helping to keep the soil with reduced tillage, especially if you are doing the roll crimped of the cover crop. You are keeping the soil temperature less affected with the temperatures of the summers of the 90s and the 100s. So it really moderate the soil temperature, as well as you are reducing the impact of the high temperature that the plant will suddenly stop taking or doing photosynthesis because the plants would be sensitive to high temperatures or to drought. So when you use the organic method, especially the reduced tillage, you are moderating the soil temperature. Not only that, you are protecting your soil, keeping that soil cooler. Also, you are keeping the moisture there, so you are not evaporating more of that soil up to this atmosphere. And of course, the organic matter is not really dissipated into carbon dioxide, which really contributes to the climate emissions of the gases emissions. So another question from Carr, it says here, so we should keep the soil covered throughout the year. Yes, when I say yes, meaning even if you harvest your soil, your crop at the end of the season, you can put back your cover crop, and that's where your cover crop is used as a cover for your soil, so you protect it. What you are doing when you put your cover crop there, you are feeding your soil microorganisms during the fall season, during the winter. These microorganisms do not stop growing, they do not stop working, but they work at a very low percent. They will be continuing there, but you are keeping the food for them through the roots, because these plants are releasing the nutrients for them. And what the microbes need is the carbon. So what happens is that the plant will give the carbon through the roots to the microorganism to use it to make more population with it. So there is this synergy of effect that between the cover crop as well as the microbes. This is how you're really improving those things. Let me see another question here. From Peter, in these experiments, do you look at the diversity or robustness of the arbuscular fungi? Currently, in other projects, I'm looking at the mycorrhizae fungi, especially in the onion production. In this experiment, VST, we are going to start working with a colleague from USDA, and he would be helping us with the mycorrhizal fungi to assess the spores and the fungi during the season at this time. And so this is a new initiative that also we are going to look into. Course on 1, what is the impact to the mycorrhiza with RT, no-till, or black plastic? What is that important? If I'm understanding you here, you are asking how the measurement practices if we are using no-till and black plastic into mycorrhiza. Well, mycorrhiza, it's a fungi that it is working with the roots of the plant. So the roots of the plants should be there so the spores can produce the mycelia and become active during the springtime. So what you are doing, if you are using reduced tillage, meaning you are not coming every few weeks until the soil, what happens is that you are allowing the mycorrhiza to spread its mycelia and connect your soil particles, and the mycorrhiza itself will be putting some of that glue material between the soil particles, meaning you have a better soil aggregate there. So in the system that zero tillage or reduced tillage or conservation tillage, you are improving that. In the black plastic, what happens is that you might have some of that, but for some time there is a lag because you are cutting all these pipelines of mycelia that are really there to feed into the nutrients and water to the plants next time you put your crop. But also what happens is that you have some spores there that continue to initiate, but it would be at a lesser time that the dew still will have. Another question here. So we need to keep the roots healthy for healthy soil. Always you need to keep your soil healthy, whether it is for healthy soil or for non-healthy soil. It is better to keep it because that's where your microorganisms and other animals that are living there, and if you produce any plants or crops for your livestock, it is very important, even if you are not eating the grass there or the hay you get or anything, even if you are feeding your livestock. But at the end, when you have healthy soil, you are going to have healthy livestock, and if you are a meat eater, you will have a healthy meat that you are eating. From medicine, how can a no-till system be implemented on a large farm scale? In fact, the vegetable systems trial is meant to be on a large scale. It is not small area that we have been using. No-till system requires time. If you have soil that has started conventionally or have been fed on a lot of tillage, you have to give your soil time because first of all, the herbicides have been used if it is conventional to suppress the weeds. Once you take that from the picture, the herbicide, the weeds will come back. So you need to start the no-till system over many years. In the first 5 years, you need to train your soil to become less dependent on herbicides, less dependent on equipment that really till the soil, so you can bring back your microorganism to do the work for you and bring a good crop rotation with cover crops. Is biochar of relevance to soil management? Yes, biochar is relevant to soil management. We have not applied biochar in VST, especially because once you apply biochar, you cannot take it out. So in our system, we would like to know what would be biochar. This is another area we will be investigating in the future. Biochar is good because it can also help in areas where you can it absorbs some of these nutrients that you don't want to go outside the system to the biochar. Another question here is, how would the organic method help with the current changes in weather pattern? We did that. Another one, is there any recognition of the grand solar minimum by Rodale that has recently begun to be discussed in many scientific circles? This is the belief that the sun is the major mover of climate and not CO2. Well, here's the thing. usually the plants require sunlight. So it is the process that it is through the photosynthesis. And if there is light there and there is sun, it would be helping in the photosynthesis. But the grand solar minimum, unfortunately, I didn't know about it. But if I want to connect what is the solar system is really important for us, is that we need the light for the crops. Unless you are mentioning something about the intensity that we are having now that is really affecting the light, that's a different story. I'm gonna check also the chat. There is, okay, that's it for now. I don't see any other questions, but it is time. And I really thank you, everyone, and goodbye.